Toronto tops North America crane count, and there's 400 more project proposed. Wow. Now that everything's cooling in Toronto right now, the market's the anomaly from last year. You know what I'm saying? It's Toronto's a very interesting market right now, and I know that Faith Goldie's running for mayor there. Hopefully, she could fix that city. That city's upside down, right side up, and sideways and backwards. It's all screwed up. I really hope she could get in as mayor. Hope you guys could support her if you can, if you live in the Toronto GTA region. Toronto tops North American crane count, and there's 400 more projects proposed. Really? You're going to add more inventory on the market. No one could afford it, and everyone's mass exiting. I had a conversation with Owen on the phone yesterday, and he told me there's an article out there where 50% of Torontonians, millennials, or 40%, want to leave the city of Toronto because it's just too expensive. You can't make headway in Toronto. No matter what you do, it's like Vancouver. What's the point? What are you working for? You're working for the man. Big deal. So what? So what? What are you going to do? You can't buy a car. You have to use public transit. You're already predetermined on where you're going to go in life when you live in one of those big cities now. Those big cities aren't what they were back in the day. Toronto has a whole lot of real estate development going up. Ryder Levitt Bucknell, RLB, the largest real estate consulting firm, released their quarterly crane index. Quarterly crane index. The index puts Toronto at the top of the high-rise construction pile of North America. Actually, Toronto is beat by the next closest city by a huge margin. That's not always a good thing. About the RLB Crane Index. The RLB Crane Index is a survey to count the number of high-rise cranes currently deployed. Mixed-use, commercial, and residential are all counted in the total. RLB only conducts surveys in markets they do business in. So there's some notable holes in North America. Off the top of our heads, Vancouver and Miami are not included. Two spots known for having a lot of construction. We'll have to pull the data for those cities another day. Now, let's look to their survey. Toronto leads North America for crane count. Topping the list of the RLB Crane Index is Toronto, Seattle, Los Angeles. In that order, Toronto, 97 construction cranes at the end of Q2 of 2018. And 9 construction cranes from the previous quarter. Seattle has 65 cranes in Q2, up 20 from the previous quarter. Los Angeles has had 36 cranes at the end of Q2, the same number of previous quarters. Yes, Toronto almost 40% of the cranes than the next city on the list. Here is the crane count. Toronto, Seattle, Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, Denver, San Francisco, Calgary, Washington, Nueva York, Boston, Honolulu's building up. Yeah, Massachusetts is in a lot of problems right now financially too, home crisis wise. Over 400 more high-rise projects proposed for Toronto. Toronto's construction boom is led by residential projects and is set to expand. Nearly 86% of the 97 cranes are residential projects under construction. The high crane count could continue to rise as well since another 400 projects are proposed. Not a huge surprise for everyone that knows Toronto is at record levels of construction. The count confirms that a lot of supply will hit the market relatively soon, with even more supply to come. So, a lot of empty units. I don't know if you guys remember the vacancy rate, what they've got for numbers in the city of Toronto. It was about 91 or 93,000 empty units mixed in the GTA houses and condos. So it's almost 100,000 empty units. And that's a huge problem when you factor in the empty units and then the foreclosure rates on a lot of people walking away from the deposits and the rent's going up in Toronto. Holy smokes. You have no idea how expensive rent got in Toronto in the last 2 months, 3 months, because rates are going up, people are renewing their mortgages, and the price of servicing that mortgage has gone up, so they're passing the savings on to the tenants. So when people say to me, Mike, I don't care what happens in the housing market, you better care about what's happening in the housing market, and I'll tell you why. Because your rent's going to go up if you rent. And if you go somewhere else, I'm going to go somewhere else to find rent. Then they have renting apps where people bid on the app to see who could pay the most rent. Toronto's crane count isn't a problem right now, but it does indicate some headwinds in the future. Residential real estate prices soared and led the rush of new projects to cash in. The rush is typical at late stages of the real estate cycle. The massive influx of supply is likely to place downwards pressure on the prices, whipping out significant home equity. No surprise. One of the world's largest banks calls Toronto the world's largest real estate bubble. That's exactly what it is. People are playing with fire right now. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into.